Patitanam Pavanyo Vaishnava Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. First of all, I offer my sasam and pranams under the lotus feet of our most worshipful Sri Gurudev, Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om, Vishnupad, Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Sri Guru Maharaj, Gaura Purnaga Guru Varga, and all the Sample Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So today, our calendar is reminding us today is the disappearance day of Sri Ishwarapuri. So everybody knows who is Sri Ishwarapuri. Ishwarapuri is the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his Anditic pastime here, he accepted Guru. And so that person happened to be Sri Ishwarapuri. So it has been glorified, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that this tree of this Mahaprabhu's family, the sprout, like Mahaprabhu himself is the gardener and he's the main, like the trunk of this tree. So his family is compared to like this tree, but Mahaprabhu is the main trunk. But the sprout, like where this big tree is like beginning to grow, it is said to be Madhavendra Puri, and then it further developed to Ishwara Puri, and then Mahaprabhu. And from Mahaprabhu, then three main branches, that's Advaita, Nityananda, and Gadadhar, and then so many other branches. And now this tree giving so much like fruit and really to everyone in this world. So anyhow, it has been told that Mahaprabhu, he had this, before his pastime as a devotee, he was exhibiting this lila like a scholar. In his young age, he's a small boy, but he's very great scholar. Nobody can defeat him. Everyone knows this. Even at the age of 11, already he has so many students. He has his own school. He is known as Nimai Pandit. So, but then later on, when he met Ishwarapuri and took Harinam and Diksha from him, then it said after that, then he became completely changed. He became Bhavok Nimai. So, I used to think that he only met him once, and that's in Gaya. But actually, even before that, already he has met him, and he has been mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat and some other books also. So, by mercy of Vaishnavas, we have been to his place, the appearance place of Ishwarapuri. This is in Kumarhata. It's Kumarhata, not so far away from Calcutta. And Vaishnavas mercifully have brought us there. Ishwarapuri, he appeared in the month of Jeshta, on the full moon. So that full moon of Jeshta, that is the same day as the Lord Jagannath's appearance. That is on that day we have this Snan Yatra, the Jeshta Purnima. This is just after the Vaishak month, so next month after Vaishak is Jeshta. And so the full moon day of that, the same day everyone celebrates the appearance day of Jagannath and doing this Snan Yatra. That is appearance day of Ishwarapuri. So, and he appeared there in Kumarhata. When Mahaprabhu, after he returned to Gaya, if I'm not mistaken, then he passed by this place. At one point in Mahaprabhu's time, he came to the place of his Gurudev. and he took some like dust on that place, and he would he kept it in his cloth, and he would eat also this dust. He said, "Oh, this dust is worshipable. This is my wealth." He's telling. He's showing how dear his guru and the birthplace of his guru. So now, if you go to this place, there's a big pond. It's called Chaitanya Doha. So that's just outside, near to, there's a temple now that marks where he's appeared. So this pond is, before there was no pond, but now it was formed because every devotee that comes to the place, they do like what Mahaprabhu did. So they would also take little dust. So when so many people coming getting dust, then it made a hole in the place and making this pond. So now you can see they have also maintained this pond very nicely. So in that place, Srivas and his brothers also, Srivas Pandit, they also stayed in that place. So it said that if you read in Chaitanya Bhagavat, that during that time when Mahaprabhu was just a little boy, he was like a pandit. Actually, Ishwarapuri, he visited Navadvip. He came to Navadvip. He is disciple of Madhavendra Puri. That's why he is also sannyas name also ends with Puri. So we can understand he took sannyas from Madhavendra Puri, but not just sannyas, but also all his mantra diksha. And so therefore we can understand, just as Madhavendra Puri, from him all these moods of separation and all these very elevated moods of Madhurya Rasa feeling, Ishwarapuri is experiencing also the same. And we have known, like Chaitanya Vitam telling, how Ishwarapuri is serving Madhavendra Puri. Especially at that time of Madhavendra Puri's final pastimes. At that time he would be in separation, and in his old age, on his deathbed also, Ishwarapuri is serving him whatever is needed, and doing all cleaning and everything. And it is said that because of this, then he got the favor that Mahaprabhu himself take him as his guru, accepted him as his Gurudev. So there is so this pastime in Navadvip, Ishwarapuri, he came there. He's a sannyasi, but when he came to Navadvip, he was not showing all the externals. He's trying to hide himself. So he's not really obviously be seen as a sannyasi. So one time he visited the place of Advaita Acharya, and he sat looking at Advaita Acharya. He was doing his worship, and he sat down. Advaita Acharya saw him, and immediately he can see, Advaita Acharya became attracted. He can feel, he can understand, this is a great personality. And therefore, immediately he approached him and asking him who are you? Just inquiring. And he's telling I can see that you're a sannyasi. But he was not he's telling I'm the lowest of Sudra, this, his humility. That time also Mukunda Datta was there. Everyone knows Mukunda. Mukunda is Mahaprabhu's Kirtaniya. And just like when when Gadadhar Pandit went to Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and then there was some doubt with Gadadhar, thinking of Pundarik is at the beginning he was expecting some sadhu. When he saw that very nicely dressed with all this rich like facilities. Then he was thinking, oh, like, what kind of sadhu? It's like an enjoyer. When Mukunda understood, then immediately he wanted to expose, no, he's not an ordinary person. And then he just chanted some verses. And then finally, it's like revealed, oh, this is not an ordinary person. He's experiencing all these moods of praying. So in the same way, Mukunda, at that time, he also can see, oh, this is a sannyasi. Oh, this is a great devotee. So then I want to expose him that that now he will be seen by everyone, because he's trying to hide from Advaita Acharya also. So then Mukunda started chanting some verses glorifying Krishna, and immediately Ishwara Puri, like his Gurudev, and immediately became absorbed in all this glorification, remembering Krishna in separation, and started crying and falling on the ground. He became unconscious and exhibiting all the symptoms of bhav, of praying. So then everyone understood, oh, this is not an ordinary person. So they nicely welcomed him. It is said that at that time he stayed in the house of Gopinath Acharya, and not just for like few days. He said for some months. So it's not specified exactly how many, but months meaning like for a considerable long time. And so sometimes it is at one time while Ishwar Puri was walking on the streets of Navadip, then he met Mahaprabhu. That time he was this young boy, like absorbed in his scholarship. So he has many students with him. He's holding some books. And then when Ishwara Puri saw him, immediately he was so attracted. Like, oh, this Brahman boy. So immediately he approached him and like, oh, may I know, like, what is your name? What is this book you're carrying? Like this. His students immediately like, oh, you know, he's Nimai Pandit. Like this. So then he said, oh, you're the famous Nimai Pandit. And so Mahaprabhu also very nicely like behaving and telling him like, oh, please come to my house. We will provide you some like lunch. So then it is said that was the first time that Mahaprabhu served him. He came to his house and then washed his feet, and Mother Sachi cooked and offered to the Thakurji, and he fed him some prasadam. And time to time, it is said that Ishwara Puri would visit Mahaprabhu. But it is said that he would go to Gadadhar Pandit's house and he would read to Gadadhar. He has written a book, if I'm not mistaken, this Krishna Lilamrit or something like that. So he has written this and he would tell this to Gadadhar. Gadadhar at that time also was just a young boy. Gadadhar, we know, he is always absorbed in Bhagavatam, and then he in the company of Ishwara Puri, then he very happily like hearing from him. So he said one time Ishwara Puri told me, my Pandit, oh, you're a very great scholar. I have written this composition, this small book on Krishna Lila. So can you correct this? But it's at that time, we know how Mahaprabhu is very also like into debate and argumentation and like this. And he would do this even to devotees. But here when Ishwara Puri asked him, actually he said that, oh, you are a great devotee. He said, whatever the devotee is done, because it's done out of love, then that is perfect. And anyone would try to say something wrong, then he's just an offensive person. And he's bound to go to hell like that. So Mahaprabhu telling like this to him. So actually Ishwara Puri became very happy. But I've heard also that at one point Mahaprabhu read this book, but he found some kind of mistake. Mahaprabhu thought it's mistake, and he told Ishwarapuri. So Ishwarapuri, later on, he didn't say anything, but later on he came back and he showed that no, this is actually correct. And he was telling to Nimai, like, oh, your correction is wrong. And Nimai accepted. So it was only Ishwarapuri really that, like, because even this Keshav Kashmiri, who's a great Pandit, he has a big Vijay Pandit, he has conquered everywhere. Easily, Nimai, like defeated him, corrected him. So, but to his Gurudev, even Nimai tried to correct, but it showed also that his correction was wrong. So, in this pastime, already Mahaprabhu was showing the position of his Gurudev. So, but not very long from at that point, that Mahaprabhu had a desire. Now he will show his real pastime in this world, begin his Sankirtan. So not very long that time, Ishwarapuri, he left to continue his traveling to many holy places. So then after that, we know what happened. He went to Gaya to do his some offerings for his ancestors, for his father and the ancestors. So it was during this time that he met again Ishwarapuri. And actually Mahaprabhu was told that actually I came here for the benefit of my ancestors. Of course we know this is a lila, Mahaprabhu was trying to show, but he's saying, I'm doing this for the benefit of my ancestors, doing this like Pinda. And he said, just by seeing you, actually unlimited, like hundreds and thousands of my ancestors become liberated. So it's like more than the purpose of my doing this oblations for the ancestors, offerings to the ancestors. More than that is seeing the sadhu. So he's saying to later on he asked Ishwarapuri to give him Diksha mantra. Like this. And Ishwarapuri, he said, what to speak of mantra? I will give my whole life to you. Like this. Whatever you ask, I will give. My whole life also is for you. So he gave him mantra, and we know that later on even Mahaprabhu later on approached his Gurudev. He said, what mantra have you given me? Now I'm like becoming like mad. I'm uncontrolled like this. And so then Ishwarapuri was like, yes, this is the effect. This is a sign of perfection. Now you have the perfection of life, experiencing this prema. So anyhow, we know that from that point, when he got initiation from his guru, then Mahaprabhu now was known as the Bhavuk Nimai. So today is Ishwarapuri's disappearance day. Before he disappeared, he has two other disciples that he gave order. You should go to Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya. When Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his Gurudev already disappeared that time. So, but his Gurudev, before he left this world, he gave this order to his disciples. Who is that? Kasheshwar Pandit and Govinda. So later on, when Mahaprabhu was staying in Puri, then they came to Mahaprabhu. And so, although they're actually god brother of Mahaprabhu, because they're all disciples of Ishwarapuri, but Mahaprabhu accepted them as his servant because his Gurudev has ordered. He cannot reject them. Also, they are considered to be in the lower caste, like Govinda. Mahaprabhu is like high caste, like Brahmin. You know, we have all these considerations of castes. But Mahaprabhu did not consider any of these things. His Gurudev gave them, and so therefore he immediately accepted them. Some people will ask, like, why are you accepting service from like a Shudra? And actually thinking like this is very offensive. So Mahaprabhu, then he would say, oh, my Gurudev like has offered them and I'm bound to accept them. So they are my guardian. Like this. So when he was in Puri, Govinda was always there serving him. Kaseshwar Pandit, he was like the main person we know. Like here, we have someone always taking charge of prasadam distribution, also watching when the security of the Vaishnavas, like that. So Katha Pandit is very big, and he is always there. Like when Mahaprabhu walking, he's always there in front, and or like watching over for Mahaprabhu's safety. And he would be the one mainly distributing prasadam to the devotees. So today, this appearance day of Ishwara Puri, we can, we don't know exactly who he is in Krishna Lila. And it doesn't really matter. We know that he's a great personality. He must be like an intimate associate of Shri Radha Krishna. Otherwise, how he be there like a guru of Krishna himself? We take note, when he was in Navadvip, he was always with Gadadhar and sharing to her all this, like his writings on Krishna. So we can somehow appreciate that, in Krishna Lila, he must be some intimate associate of Srimati Radharani. And therefore now taking this role, he became the teacher of Krishna himself. Okay, so today we can offer our prayers to this great personality. From him, that this big tree, this family tree of Mahaprabhu, started. So we also want to become part of this tree. So we can pray to him, pray to our Gurudev that his blessings may come upon us.
Gopagyanativiramsya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishnavakaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanupadravaram Rajarasvasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Pramannam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Prishthaya Bhutale Rupanu Bhaktidam Cha Kripamurti Narayanam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So, first of all, I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet for spiritual masters Nitya Shivan Bhaktivedanta Shri Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev and Nitya Shivan Bhaktivedanta Shri Vam Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev, Granda Rupana Kare Guru Varga, all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, the Guardians, to everyone else present today. So, just as we've been hearing, today is the most blessed Tithi, the disappearance day of Shri Ishwar Puripad, who is the spiritual master Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So you can imagine how pure this Tithi is, how auspicious this Tithi is. Like we've been hearing all these days now when we observe the appearance of Shri Advaita Acharya, Shri Nityananda Prabhu, then we've heard the role that Madhavendra Puri has played in their lives. No, Madhavendra Puri, he was the one who first actually met Advaita Acharya there in Shantipur. And there Advaita Acharya, he was known as Kamalaksha. So when Madhavendra Puri came to his house, Advaita Acharya served him with so much love and affection. And his father also, Kuber Pandit, his mother Nava Devi, they also served him. And then it was then that Madhavendra Puri, he initiated Advaita Acharya into the worship of Shri Radha Madan Gopal. So he initiated him into that worship there, and there Advaita Acharya, we see that these symptoms of prem, they began to manifest within him. And then Advaita Acharya is a near and dear associate of Mahaprabhu, but still he is showing us how by coming in touch with the Bhagavad Guru, especially a Guru of the caliber of Sri Madhavendra Puri, how these transformations started to manifest within him. And then gradually he began his upasana to worship his Salagram Shila with Tulsi and with Ganga water. It said Tulsi Dharmatena, Jalasa Churukena. There it said that Krishna himself he sells himself to any person who offers Tulsi with Ganga. So in this way we start worshipping. But on the inspiration of who? No, we hear that Advaita Acharya is called Gauran Thakur. That he was the one who was responsible for Mahaprabhu appearing in this world. But who inspired him to offer this worship in such a way that Mahaprabhu himself was bound to appear? Mahaprabhu could have appeared at any time of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. He could have appeared at any time. But why did he appear in the Pratham Sandhya, in the first 5,000 years? What is the reason? Because of Advaita Acharya. But who inspired Advaita Acharya to call Mahaprabhu out in this way? It was Madhavendra Puri himself. Without having come in contact with Madhavendra Puri, would Advaita Acharya have called out to Mahaprabhu in such a way? Never. No, only inspired him in such a way. We've been hearing Madhavendra Puri is this Prem Ankur. He's the sprout of this tree of Prem. Mahaprabhu is the Prem Kalpataru himself. Also the gardener, like we heard, but he's the sprout. So in this way, Advaita Acharya, he beckoned for Mahaprabhu to appear and Mahaprabhu appeared. And then we see even in Nityananda Prabhu's case also. Nityananda Prabhu and Madhavendra Puri were god brothers. Because Madhavendra Puri and Nityananda Prabhu were initiated by Lakshmipati Tirtha. Because we see that Madhavendra Puri, he actually, he had a temple there in Gaya. It's called the Uttaradi Math. Uttaradi Math is a branch of Madhvacharya's Math. It is called Uttaradi. Why? Because this Math is especially meant for North India. Uttar Adi means North India and all the other different places also, like etc. Therefore, Madhavendra Puri, he used to stay there in the Uttaradi Math. And then we hear that there he was initiated by Lakshmipati Tirtha. And Nityananda Prabhu was also initiated by him. No. We hear that actually Nityananda Prabhu, when he met Lakshmipati Tirtha, what happened? Nityananda Prabhu, he had a dream. Lakshmipati Tirtha had a dream. Lakshmipati Tirtha, he had a dream in which Nityananda Prabhu, he appeared to him. And he whispered some mantra into his ear. And he said, is this the mantra you wish to give me? And Lakshmipati Tirtha said, yes. And he again whispered the same mantra again in Nityananda Prabhu's ear. And in this way, Nityananda Prabhu, after receiving initiation from Lakshmipati Tirtha, when he was in South India, there he met Madhavendra Puri. There, having met Madhavendra Puri, there they experienced so much ecstatic symptoms of prem. Vrindavan Das Thakur said, I cannot even describe what they spoke between each other. And in this way, they were rolling in the dust. So we see here that although Lakshmipati Tirtha was the Diksha Guru of Nityananda Prabhu, Madhavendra Puri was his Siksha Guru. Although he was his elder godbrother, he was his Siksha Guru. And if you see, these symptoms of prem, they manifested in Nityananda Prabhu when he especially met Madhavendra Puri. More than even his meeting with Lakshmipati Tirtha. So in this way, when he was at Madhavendra Puri, these symptoms of prem, they all started appearing within him. So in this way we see that Madhavendra Puri, he had such a great influence on these two main associates of Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya. So and Ishwar Puri was his disciple. Madhavendra Puri, he had so many disciples. He had Ishwar Puri, Ranga Puri, Sukhananda Puri, Keshavananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, and in this way he had Vishnu Tirtha and Narsinga Puri. He had so many sannyasis as his disciples. But foremost among them, like we've been hearing, is Ishwar Puri himself. We say that a guru, he is like a cow to his disciple who is very submissive. Means he will give everything. He opens his heart and he gives everything to that disciple. And therefore, Madhavendra Puri, we see that whatever prem he had in his heart, he gave that all to Ishwar Puri. He said, no, you continue this line. No. Like we see in Mahaprabhu, when he came to Mathura, when he was in this Adi Keshav temple, when he was dancing in ecstasy in front of Keshav there he came across this Sonoriya Brahmin. And the Sonoriya Brahmin, he was also dancing in ecstasy. And Mahaprabhu, normally everyone would look at Mahaprabhu and become enchanted. But Mahaprabhu, he looked at the Sonoriya Brahmin and Mahaprabhu became enchanted. And he said, how is this possible? That you are experiencing this ecstasy. Surely you must be a recipient of Madhavendra Puri's affection. Then he said, yes. Madhavendra Puri came here, he just touched me, he said, Sonoriya Brahmin. He just touched me, I served him a little, and this is what has become of me. Now become mad in Krishna Prem. So if this was the case with Sonoriya Brahmin, who was just touched by Madhavendra Puri, then what has become Ishwar Puri, who was serving his Gurudev 24 hours a day. No, completely just absorbed in the service of his Guru. And we see also, when Madhavendra Puri was leaving this world, when he was experiencing these symptoms of Viraha, that he was chanting this shlok, this Aidina Dayajanatahe, Mathuranatha Kadavalokshase, Hridayata Dalova Katharam Daitam, Kim Karomyaham, saying, Oh Krishna, oh Mathuranatha, I'm feeling so much separation from you. Only 3 people used to recite this verse. Madhavendra Puri, Mahaprabhu and Srimati Radhika herself. So then who could understand the sentiments of this verse when he was explaining this? Even Ramchandra Puri was his direct disciple, he could not understand. In fact, Ramchandra Puri, he told his Guru that, oh, what is this? Gurudev, you're weeping like this. This is not proper. You should meditate on this Brahman, this impersonal effulgence of Krishna. You should not like behave in such a way, just weeping, being so sentimental. And Madhavendra Puri, he opened his eyes and he said, get out of here, he told him. Just by looking at you, I will also become sinful. Leave, he told him. Go away from here. When I'm leaving my body, I don't want to see your face. But then we see how Ishwar Puri served him. No, with so much love, with so much affection. Even when his Guru apparently became like bedridden, he could not even move on his own. Still, he would cleanse his Gurudev. He would look after him in every respect. And then not just this seva, not just Mapu seva, but also Vani seva. He would recite these verses, which would create so much Uddipana in Madhavendra Puri. And this way he was serving his Guru in every respect. Therefore Madhavendra Puri blessed him. May you have this praying within your heart. And then we see that because of that blessing, he became the Guru of Mahaprabhu himself. Like we just heard now. We see that God himself accepts the spiritual master. Ramchandra, he accepted who? He accepted Vasishtha Rishi, even accepted Vishwamitra. And we see Krishna, he accepted Bhaguri Rishi as his spiritual master. It is said he was initiated into the Radha Mantra by Bhaguri Rishi. Bhaguri Rishi was the one who spoke this Radha Mantra into his ear. And even Sandilya Rishi was his like Siksha Guru, Sandipani Muni was his like his Siksha Guru. And Mahaprabhu himself accepted Ishwar Puripal as his Diksha Guru. In fact, we see that Keshav Bharati, he actually gave sannyas to Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu, his inclination was more towards Ishwar Puripal at all times. No. Even when Mahaprabhu was in the assembly of Prakashananda Saraswati, he asked Mahaprabhu that, oh Krishna Chaitanya, you actually belong to the Bharati Sampradaya. Mahaprabhu actually, since in Shankaracharya's line, they have many titles, like Bharati, Bon, Giri, Aranya, Ashram. But so they say Mahaprabhu, he belonged to this Bharati line, which was like topmost line. They said, you're so exalted, but now you're behaving like this, like a sentimentalist. And Mahaprabhu, he said, what can I do? I'm just following the order of my Guru. My Guru told me that, oh, you are not so intelligent. You just chant the holy name. Just don't do anything else, he told him. So when Mahaprabhu spoke these words, who was he actually referring to? Not Keshav Bharati. Because Keshav Bharati, he actually had knowledge of Mahaprabhu's opulence. Keshav Bharati knew who Mahaprabhu was. Because Mahaprabhu actually whispered the sannyas mantra into his ear first, and then Keshav Bharati, he whispered it back into his ear. So he knew who Mahaprabhu was. Even Keshav Bharati, he actually traveled with Mahaprabhu after he took sannyas, he went to many different places. But Ishwar Puripal, we see, although he was also aware of Mahaprabhu's opulence, still that sweetness of his relationship with Mahaprabhu, that covered that Aishwarya, that covered that opulence. Therefore he instructed Mahaprabhu. Or else how can you instruct God himself? No, we don't hear Keshav Bharati instructing Mahaprabhu in any way. But Ishwar Puripal instructed him, saying, just chant the Mahamantra, don't do anything else. And Mahaprabhu told Prakashananda Saraswati, I'm just following the order of my Guru. He's told me to chant, so I'm just chanting. So in this way we see that Mahaprabhu, when he received this mantra, this Gopal mantra, he especially received this one name. Normally when we receive the Gopal mantra, we receive 3 different names of Krishna. But Mahaprabhu received only one name. Because that time only one name was given during the Gopal mantra. And what was that? Krishna, who is the beloved of all the gopis. He received this one name. And then we see as soon as Mahaprabhu got initiated by Ishwar Puripal in Gaya, he was no longer Nimai Pandit. He was Bhavuk Nimai. Before he used to read all these shastras, do like debate, counter-debate, argue, counter-argue, but now he was Bhavuk Nimai. Now he was only absorbed in the sentiments of praying after meeting Ishwar Puripal. In fact, when he tried to worship the Saligram Srila, sometimes he'd weep so much that all his clothes would become wet. Then Mahaprabhu would say, oh, I cannot worship the Saligram Srila in this way. And then he would remove all his cloth. Then put some dry cloth again. And again he'd weep so much, again his clothes would become wet. And sometimes he tried doing parikrama of Tulsi Devi, but he could not even open his eyes. He keep falling on the way. And then someone would catch hold of his hand, and then he'd do Tulsi parikrama. And then sometimes Mahaprabhu, he would ask everyone, saying, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And someone would say, Krishna is in your heart. Then Mahaprabhu would try tearing open his heart, saying, Krishna is in my heart. Then where is he? Then he caught hold of Mahaprabhu's hand, saying, oh, don't do like this. And then Sachidevi, she would be observing all these different things. So this way, these symptoms of ecstasy that appeared in Mahaprabhu, these symptoms of praying, by whose mercy did they appear? By Ishwar Puripad's mercy. No. Normally we hear that Mahaprabhu has 3 different manifestations. That just as Srimati Radhika is Vrishabhanu Nandini in Braj, and she is Biyogini in Uddhav Kari, and she is Samyogini in Kurukshetra, similarly Mahaprabhu, he is in the mood of Biyogini Radhika. Where? In the Gambhira. He is in the mood of Samyogini Radhika. Where? In this place, on the banks of the Godavari. And he is in the mood of Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimati Radhika in Navadvi. This is Mahaprabhu in his complete form. This is the complete identity of Mahaprabhu. So his mood as being Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimati Radhika, how did this manifest? It only manifested by the mercy of Ishwar Puripad. Because Ishwar Puripad, by initiating him, these waves of prem started to manifest within him after meeting Ishwar Puri. And then all these moods of Srimati Radhika, he started relishing there in Navadvip Dham also. It is not that Mahaprabhu only relished the moods of Srimati Radhika and the Gambhira. He also relished there in Srilam Navadvip. So all these different symptoms of ecstasy started appearing within him. So would these symptoms have appeared if he hadn't met Ishwar Puripad? No. Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna himself, but still he is always looking towards his associates for Uddipan. And then this way we see that Ishwar Puri, he served his Guru in such a way that he became Mahaprabhu's Guru then himself. And Mahaprabhu himself, when he went to this Kumarhatta, the birthplace of Ishwar Puripad, he took some dust from that place, he tied it in his cloth, and then every day he would take that dust and he would put it inside his mouth. He would say, this dust is the ornament of my life, he said. Just as he tore Nityananda Prabhu's coffin into many pieces and gave it as a kavach for all the devotees, he said, this dust of the place where my Guru Maharaj was born, this is the ornament of my life, he said. Then every day he would take a little. And everyone seeing him, they also start taking the dust. And then this pond was formed there. So this way we see how Mahaprabhu was. And we see, Phalena Parichayate, a tree is known by its fruits. So we see how Govinda Prabhu was. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told Mahaprabhu that Govinda Prabhu actually belongs to the caste of the Shudras. If you accept him, someone might raise some questions. Mahaprabhu said, never. Although he belongs to that caste, still he was the sevak of my Guru Maharaj. So how can I even think in such a way? And Govinda, how did he serve Mahaprabhu? Once Mahaprabhu was sleeping across the floor, blocking the entranceway, Govinda had to enter the room. So he was waiting, but Mahaprabhu wouldn't rise. So then Govinda put a cloth on Mahaprabhu and he just went across Mahaprabhu and went inside. And then Mahaprabhu, he continued lying down. And after some time Mahaprabhu woke up. He said, oh Govinda, what are you doing inside? He said, oh, I had to serve you, so I entered inside. Then why didn't you leave? He said, I didn't leave because that would have been for my own enjoyment. But I entered inside for your service. In this way. Therefore I put that cloth over you and I entered inside, he said. He said, Mahaprabhu thought, oh, Govinda is... This way we see that Mahaprabhu would never give his remnants to anyone. But he would especially give his remnants to Govinda Prabhu and to Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami. Only to a few associates, Raghunath Das Goswami and no one. And we see even Sarup Damodar Goswami and Raya Ramananda Prabhu, if they would ever enter the Gambhira, they would ask the permission of Govinda Prabhu, saying, Govinda, can we enter inside? And only after receiving the permission of Govinda Prabhu, then they would enter inside. And then when Mahaprabhu would be experiencing all these sentiments of Srimati Radhika and the Gambhira, Govinda, he had so much mamata for Mahaprabhu that he'd be thinking that, oh, why do they come inside and make Mahaprabhu weep so much? Why do they do this? I cannot understand. They weep and they also make Mahaprabhu weep. He had so much mamata for Mahaprabhu. You could not see Mahaprabhu weep even a little also. You could not see one tear coming out of his eyes. That was the seva, that was the caliber of Govinda Prabhu's seva. Therefore we see Mahaprabhu become upset with any associates. Like we see, when all the devotees were telling Mahaprabhu to forgive Chota Haridas, Mahaprabhu said, I will go to Alarnath. He said, I'll leave all of you. And then when everyone requested Mahaprabhu to forgive this son of Bhavananda Rai, No, who had taken the taxes from the king for his own self. No, Mahaprabhu again he said, I'll go to Amarnath, he said. He refused to take anyone except Govinda Prabhu. He said, oh Govinda, pack our bags, let's go, he said. So Mahaprabhu had so much love and affection for him also because he was especially a dear disciple of Sri Ishwar Puripad, Govinda Prabhu and Kashishwar Pandit in this way. And Mahaprabhu himself, he refused to accept them in their seva. He said, Guru Sevak hoy, Manya Amar, he said. Both of you are Guru Sevaks, how can I accept you in my seva? But then Govinda Prabhu, he fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu. And he said, this is the order of our Guru, that you accept us. If you don't accept us, then what will become of us? Therefore Mahaprabhu is bound to accept them in his seva, in this way. So in this way we see that Ishwar Puripad, he is such a central figure in Mahaprabhu's Leela. No, such a central figure in Mahaprabhu's, this awakening of this Radha Bhav within Mahaprabhu. So we must be so much indebted to him. Because this Anarpita Charim Chirat Swabhakti Shriyam that Mahaprabhu came to give, Ishwar Puri was especially a medium in that regard. Therefore, when Mahaprabhu came to Shantipur and he saw how Advaita Acharya celebrated the disappearance of his Guru, Madhavendra Puri, Mahaprabhu became so happy. Why? Because he had that same nishtha towards his own Guru. So therefore, today is such a beautiful tithi that Mahaprabhu himself, he'll be so happy with that person who even remembers the name of Ishwar Puripad. Or to speak of glorifying him, or to speak of remembering his qualities, or to speak of even just one remembers the name of Ishwar Puri, Mahaprabhu will be so happy with that person. So today is this very invaluable opportunity for all of us to receive the mercy of Mahaprabhu by glorifying his Guru, and especially by listening to his glories from the Vaishnavas, and by especially trying to invite the instructions that he gave to Mahaprabhu regarding chanting the holy name, regarding realizing these moods of praying, and all these different aspects of Mahabhav. So on this very auspicious tithi, the only prayer I can offer, hope to offer at the lotus feet of Ishwar Puripad is that the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His mercy, at least the top of that mercy, always be upon us. Ansha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuyasya bhakthanam pavanabhyo.
Kripa Karo Vaishnava Bye. জানি উচ্ছিষ্টা বিধানে হবে অভিমান ভার তাই শিষ্য তব থাকিয়া সর্বদা Bye.